With exactly 1 month to go before the next general election, it is fitting that we look at the state of elections and the state of the nation. State of elections is good. Despite a few challenges here and there, we are on course. Some of the challenges we may have to deal with rather fast, firmly, are challenges to do with the judiciary. The judiciary in future will have to be advised to approach electoral challenges in courts with a little more caution. In any case, the courts should not throw confusion into the process. Where courts must make a decision, like in the case of independent candidates, they must make a ruling or a judgment that is firm, that is clear, that leaves no doubt for interpretation. If the judgment or ruling means IBC must include those independent candidates, then it must be stated so. If it is merely restating the right, again, the courts have a responsibility to do so. Going forward, we would advise and urge the judiciary to ensure that they do not come up with rulings and judgments that fly in the face of common sense and the reality on the ground. Other challenges we face have to do with IBC. IBC is not giving Kenyans the confidence they need. We urge IBC to know that the future of this country is in their hands. We urge IBC to know that it is important to keep Kenyans informed. One of the things IBC will need to do would be to continuously engage with the Kenyan public. When you bring ballot papers abruptly, without notice, without anybody knowing, you raise questions. You create doubt. And this is not the time to create doubt. When you allow for the printing of ballot papers before the gazettement of candidates, you raise eyebrows. But otherwise, the state of elections is good, just like the state of the nation. The state of the nation, I say, is good because the country is on course to have a peaceful election in August, 30 days from now. The country is on course because we are one people, moving in the same direction as one people, even as we have divided opinion about our elections, about who to vote for. Yes, we have challenges, the cost of living, the price of fuel, the price of food. But again, I want to caution leaders. Don't take advantage of the suffering of Kenyans. You may use that to get votes, but remember about tomorrow. Don't create a state of confusion, anxiety, and expectations that you may not meet. I urge leaders to avoid being cheap. You think you are gaining, you'll be elected MP, senator, governor, president by being cheap. In the fullness of time, that will come to haunt you, and it may plunge the country into problems. As you campaign to become president, say you are aware that Kenyans are suffering, and that your government, when you take over power, will do everything possible to mitigate the suffering of Kenyans. Don't tell Kenyans the price of maize flour, unga, is up because of the handshake of BBI. That is cheap. Do not associate yourself with cheapness. Do not go to platforms and say, unga today is 200 and above, that in 2018, meaning before the handshake, unga was 75. What you fail to know is that Kenyans are not fools. The Kenyans you are telling unga was 75 happen to know what the cost of fuel at that time was compared to today. The Kenyans you are telling unga was 75 in 2018 also know the international price of crude oil at that time that has gone up more than 3 times since then. Kenyans you are telling unga was 75 in 2018 and that today is 250 or whatever you put. Know that the dollar was not more than 100 shillings. Today is about 120 shillings per dollar. Kenyans are not fools. 2 things. 1, do not cheapen yourself. Secondly, do not create anxiety in the country. Governments have had challenges and even collapsed for making unrealistic promises to people, for raising the expectations of citizens. And when they take over power, they realize they cannot deliver on their promises. And the people spill over into the streets. Let's avoid that. The state of the nation is therefore good because we are traveling in one direction. We are facing a peaceful election. We support different candidates, of course, but the people we support are Kenyans. Any one of them winning the election is a Kenyan. The state of elections is good because the politicians, despite a few challenges, continue to campaign peacefully. We laud them for that. We also look at the state of elections today by looking at where we are in terms of the 2 candidates. Opinion polls are being released. I advise candidates to look at opinion polls and try to make something out of them. Do not dismiss opinion polls. They may not be correct, but you learn something from opinion polls as you campaign. Where does Raila stand today? Where does Ruto stand today? As a man with a nose for politics, as a man with an ear on the ground, as a man who takes the pulse of the nation, I can tell you where the country is today. As I speak to you today, if elections in this country were held, Raila Odinga would win the election. He would win the election by about 51-52%. The same factors and forces that have propelled him beyond 50%, the same factors that have contributed to him bypassing William Ruto, will push him to higher margins. I can see a situation where on the 9th of August, the list that Raila will have with 58%. In my previous engagements with my viewers, I've tried to explain. I've given a rough estimate of what would be going on if you moved around the country. I've said, much as William Samoei Ruto has upped his game and currently has more votes than Jubilee had in 2017 outside Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, I have said one major thing, that despite, for example, him scoring higher than Uhuru in Western Kenya, Raila is still in the lead. Ruto will score more at the cost than Uhuru got, but Raila is still in the lead. You can extend that to northeastern Kenya. You can extend that to Kambani. You can extend that to Nairobi. And finally, what you arrive at is that Raila leads in the 6 counties, 6 regions outside Mount Kenya and Rift Valley. Despite Ruto having a better showing than 2017. But the bottom line is Raila leads. You then go to Rift Valley. As I speak to you today, as I look at the state of elections today, Ruto controls the 6 counties that are purely Kalenjin: Bomet, Kericho, Uasin Gishu, Nandi, Elgeyo Marakwet, and Baringo. Like in 2017, Raila wins in Turkana, Trans Nzoia. Like in 2017, the least that would happen for Raila is to share votes with Ruto in the marked counties of Narok and Kajiado, Isiolo, and so on. So you can already see, for the die-hard support of Ruto, who is a good man, that the Rift Valley you may be thinking of as having 4.7 million votes or thereabout, only has 2 core votes for Ruto, 2 million. And the rest of the votes from the 14 counties, Raila wins 2 or 3 of those 8 counties, and the Ruto and Raila share the 5 remaining counties. What does that tell you? It tells you, as we look at the state of elections today, Raila Odinga would have a minimum of 35–40% of Rift Valley. The state of the nation today must take us to Mount Kenya region. I've repeatedly said this is where the election will be decided. For Ruto to have a chance at the presidency, he must completely lock Raila out of Mount Kenya region. Even the most die-hard supporter of William Samoei Ruto, even the most pro-Kenya Kwanza opinion poll, already puts Raila at 25–30%. With the onslaught from Uhuru Kenyatta, Martha Karua, and Raila Odinga himself, you can see he's headed to upwards of 40%. And yet, simple common sense and logic will tell you that the moment Raila Odinga surges beyond 25% of Mount Kenya region, Ruto's goose is cooked. So the state of the nation today is that if elections were held today, Raila will win with about 52%. And that as many institutions come on board to work with Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, and Martha Karua from the Mount Kenya region, the 52% will surge to 58%. That, dear viewers, is the state of elections in the country today.